Silver years, golden peace, Stoic secrets for a fulfilling life. Remember the days when life stretched ahead like an open road, full of dreams, detours, and endless possibilities. Maybe you were raising a family, building a career, or chasing a dream. Those years were fast and full, weren't they? Now the road has slowed, and maybe for the first time in a long while you're wondering, what's next? Here's a thought. What if the secret to happiness isn't found in chasing the next mile, but in savoring the view right where you are? You've already done the hard part. You've loved, you've worked, you've built a life filled with stories that deserve to be honored. Now, in these golden years, it's time for something new, not a race to accomplish more, but a chance to truly live more. That's where the wisdom of the Stoics comes in. Why Stoicism, and why now? Stoic philosophy isn't about suppressing emotions or accepting life with a heavy heart. It's about learning how to embrace life with strength, grace, and most importantly, peace. For centuries, Stoicism has guided warriors, leaders, and thinkers through storms of uncertainty. But its wisdom isn't just for emperors or philosophers. It's for you, right here, right now. Ever found yourself worrying about things beyond your control? Ever felt weighed down by regrets of the past? Or fears about the future? Ever longed to feel lighter, freer, happier in your everyday life? Then you're exactly where you need to be. Over the next 7 steps, we'll explore how the ancient wisdom of the Stoics can transform your golden years into your most fulfilling years. No abstract theory, just simple, practical lessons to help you trade stress for peace, worry for joy, and hurry for presence. And the best part, you don't have to change who you are. You just have to shift how you see what you'll gain. The freedom to let go of things you can't control, the power to shape your days with gratitude and purpose, the ability to find joy in the simple moments, the laughter of grandkids, the quiet of a sunset, the warmth of a well-brewed cup of coffee. I promise, this journey won't be about slowing down. It'll be about lighting up your golden years with new meaning. So are you ready? Let's begin, step by step, together. And if this message speaks to you, if you're ready to embrace life with fresh eyes, I'd love for you to join this community. Hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, and let's make these years the most golden ones yet. Welcome to Silver Years, Golden Peace. Let's get started. Section 1. Release the reins and breathe free. Close your eyes for a moment. Think about all the years you spent steering the ship of your life, navigating storms, adjusting the sails, making sure everyone around you was safe and cared for. But now, my friend, the waters are calmer. And yet, if you're like many of us, you might still be gripping the wheel a little too tightly, worrying about your kids, your grandkids, the state of the world, things you can't always control. What if I told you that true freedom begins when you loosen your grip? Letting go doesn't mean giving up. There's a difference between caring and carrying. Caring means you love, you support, you guide when needed. Carrying, on the other hand, means you shoulder burdens that were never yours to bear. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus, a man born into slavery who later became one of history's greatest philosophers, once said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens happens as it should, and you will be happy." In other words, peace comes not from controlling everything, but from accepting what is. A story of letting go. Let me tell you about Betty. Betty is 68, and for years she lost sleep over her daughter's rocky marriage. She would offer advice, check in constantly, and worry about every argument her daughter and son-in-law had. She wanted to fix it, to make things right. But one Sunday, Betty made a different choice. Instead of obsessing over what she couldn't change, she baked her famous apple pie and invited her grandkids over. She set the table, poured some coffee, and just lived in the moment. And something amazing happened. As she sat there listening to the kids laugh, she realized something. Her love wasn't in her worrying. It was in the time she spent with them. In the warmth she brought to their lives, she stopped trying to control things that weren't hers to fix, and in doing so, she found something priceless: peace. How you can do the same. Now, let's bring this back to you. Think about something that's been weighing on your mind. Maybe it's a family issue, a financial worry, or even a regret from the past. Whatever it is, ask yourself, is this something I can change? If yes, take a small, meaningful action, a conversation, a plan, a step forward. If no, recognize that holding on won't help. It will only steal your joy. Try this simple practice. Pick one worry that you know you can't fix. It could be a friend's drama, a grown child's choices, or the state of the world. 2. Whisper to yourself, I've carried enough. This one's not mine. 3. Replace it with a small joy. Put on a song from your youth, call an old friend. Step outside and let the sun hit your face. Freedom starts. Here life has given you so many seasons. Seasons of growth, seasons of giving. Now it's time for a season of trust. Trust that you've done enough. Trust that the people you love will find their own way. And trust that right now, in this moment, you are free. Now take a deep breath, because in the next section, we'll lift your spirit even further with the power of your own thoughts. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who might need it today. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. We're just getting started. Section 2. Paint your days with a steady heart. Take a moment and think about this. Your mind is like a painter's canvas. Each day you pick up a brush and add color. Some days you paint with joy, golden moments of laughter, a warm conversation, a good book by the fireplace. Other days, the colors feel heavier, worries, aches, maybe a sense of, I'm not as strong as I used to be. But here's the secret. You are the artist. You get to decide how you paint each day. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." That means that no matter what life throws at you, you have the power to shape your experience. Not by ignoring the hard parts, but by choosing to see life in a way that strengthens you rather than weighs you down. Reframing life's changes. Aches and pains may come with the years, but your spirit, it's as young as ever. Frank, a 73-year-old veteran, learned this the hard way. He used to grumble every day about his fading eyesight. Reading became harder, TV wasn't as clear, and driving at night out of the question. For a while it frustrated him. He found himself stuck in a loop of complaining. I can't see like I used to. I hate getting old. What's the point? Then one day he made a choice. Instead of focusing on what he lost, he thought about what he gained. With less time spent reading, he decided to listen more. He started calling his old army buddies. Instead of reading, he listened to audiobooks, and suddenly his world expanded. He rekindled friendships, learned new things, and most importantly, he felt alive again. He changed his perspective, and in doing so, he changed his life. A simple shift in thinking. Now, let's talk about you. Think about one thought that has been lingering in your mind, maybe something about aging, change, or uncertainty. Now try this 3-step exercise. Spot a gloomy thought. Maybe it's, I'm not as strong as I used to be, or life isn't as exciting anymore. 2. Turn it golden. Instead of, I'm not as strong, try, I've gained wisdom and resilience over the years. Instead of, life isn't exciting, try, I now have time to appreciate the little things I once overlooked. 3. Anchor it in gratitude. With your morning coffee, take a moment to reflect on one proud moment from your life. A time when you made someone smile, overcame a challenge, or simply enjoyed a peaceful moment. Your mind is your greatest tool. You are still you. The same heart, the same soul, the same capacity for joy. Aging isn't about fading away. It's about refining the masterpiece of your life. Like a well-worn book, your pages are filled with stories, wisdom, and depth, and you get to decide how this next chapter unfolds. So, what will you paint today? Think about it. And if this message spoke to you, leave a comment with one thing you're grateful for today. Let's inspire each other, because the best way to brighten our own canvas is by sharing a little light with others. In the next section, we'll talk about the beauty of timing, how life unfolds at just the right pace when we learn to trust it. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and let's continue this journey together. Section 3. Let time bloom in its season. Think about a garden in the early days of spring. You plant seeds, water them, and wait. You don't dig them up every day to see if they've grown. You trust the process, knowing that in time, those tiny seeds will blossom into something beautiful. But how often do we forget to apply that same patience to our own lives? Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "No great thing is created suddenly. A rich, fulfilling life isn't something that happens overnight." And yet, in a world that always seems to push for more, it's easy to feel like we should be doing something bigger, faster, better. But what if you're exactly where you need to be? Trusting the timing of your life. Eleanor, 66, always dreamed of visiting Paris. She had imagined herself walking along the Seine, sipping coffee at a quiet cafe, standing in awe beneath the Eiffel Tower. But after an unexpected financial setback, that dream seemed further away than ever. At first, she was heartbroken. She felt like she had missed her chance, but instead of dwelling on what she couldn't do, she chose to embrace what she could. She joined a local book club, started reading Hemingway, and found joy in conversations about travel, art, and adventure. And then, something unexpected happened. A woman in the club, moved by Eleanor's passion, offered her something incredible: a fully paid trip to Paris. She had extra miles, extra hotel points, and a deep appreciation for Eleanor's love of the city. It took time, but Eleanor's dream found its way to her, not when she forced it, but when she let it unfold naturally. Letting life unfold at its own pace. We often believe that happiness is waiting for us in some future moment. After we achieve a goal, fix a problem, or reach a milestone. But what if happiness isn't waiting? What if it's already here, in this moment? Try this 3-step mindset shift. Name one dream you've been pushing too hard for. It could be a perfect family gathering, a long-awaited trip, or even a goal you feel you should have reached by now. To loosen your grip, take one small step instead of forcing the whole thing. If you can't have the big reunion, start with a simple coffee date. If the dream trip isn't possible yet, explore a local adventure. 3. Tell yourself, it will come when it's ready. I've got today. Instead of waiting for joy, find it right where you are. The beauty of life's seasons. The best things in life don't happen in a rush. They happen in their own time, like friendships that deepen, love that grows, and wisdom that settles in slowly, like sunlight warming. A quiet morning, you are in a beautiful season of life. Trust its timing, and as we move forward, we'll explore something just as important: how to step forward with quiet confidence, embracing purpose without urgency. If this message spoke to you, drop a comment below and tell me, what's one small joy you've embraced lately? And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Our journey is just beginning. Section 4. Step forward with a quiet fire. There's a special kind of fire that comes with age. It's not the frantic energy of youth, the kind that burns fast and fierce. No, the fire you carry now is different. It's steady, warm, and enduring. It's the fire of experience, of wisdom, of knowing what truly matters. But here's the question: are you still letting that fire shine? Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." In other words, no matter where you are in life, you still have something to give, something to create, something to be. Finding purpose in the present. Hank, 70, had spent his whole life running a hardware store. It was more than a business to him. It was his identity. He knew every customer by name, gave advice on everything from leaky pipes to life problems, and felt a deep sense of purpose every time he unlocked the doors in the morning. Then one day the doors closed for good. The store was gone, and suddenly Hank felt lost. For weeks he wandered through his days, unsure of what to do. He told himself, "I'm retired now, I should just relax." But something felt off. Then, one afternoon, a neighbor asked if he could take a look at their broken porch. "Step," Hank agreed. Then another neighbor asked for help fixing a wobbly chair. Before long, word spread, and soon Hank was known as the porch poet, the man who brought old porches and old friendships back to life. And just like that, he found his fire again. Not by chasing something new, not by forcing himself into busyness, but by embracing what still stirred his soul. What still stirs your soul? No matter how many birthdays you've celebrated, there is still something inside you that lights you up. Maybe it's painting, gardening, storytelling, mentoring, or simply sharing a good laugh over coffee. Your purpose doesn't have to be big. It just has to be yours. Try this simple exercise. Ask yourself, what still sparks joy for me? It could be a hobby, a passion, or simply connecting with others. 2. Do one thing with love. Bake that favorite recipe, call an old friend, teach a grandkid something you know by heart. 3. Let go of urgency. You don't have to rush. This isn't about proving anything. It's about enjoying what's already within you. Your light still matters. You don't need to move fast. You don't need to do something grand. You just need to show up for what makes you feel alive, because that quiet fire inside you, it's still burning, and the world still needs its warmth. In the next section, we'll talk about another kind of freedom, the freedom that comes from letting go of unnecessary burdens. If this resonated with you, tell me, what's something that still sparks joy for you today? And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We're walking this journey together. Section 5, Unload the Load and Soar Light. For years, decades even, you've carried the world on your shoulders. You've been the rock for your family, the problem solver, the dependable one. You've held it all together, even when no one else knew the weight you bore. But now, my friend, it's time to put some of that weight down. The freedom in letting go. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Think about that for a moment. True freedom isn't about running away. It's about releasing what no longer serves you. Yet so many of us hold on to things that weigh us down. Old regrets, guilt over things we could have done differently, worries about family members making choices we wish they wouldn't. But carrying those burdens doesn't change the past. It doesn't fix the future. It only makes today feel heavier than it needs to be. Doris's story, From Worry to Joy. Doris, 76, spent years hovering over her son's finances. Every month she worried if he was making smart decisions. She offered advice. Too much of it. She checked in constantly. And when he didn't listen, she'd stay up at night, heart pounding with what-ifs. Then one evening something shifted. Doris was at a bingo night, a rare night out with friends, when she found herself genuinely laughing for the first time in weeks. In that moment she realized something. Her worry had done nothing but steal her own peace. So she made a choice. She stepped back. She stopped checking in so often. She focused on her own joy, simple things like reading her favorite books, going on long walks, and yes, playing more bingo. And here's the beautiful part, her son. He figured things out on his own. He didn't need her constant worry. He needed space to learn. And Doris, she finally felt free. What can you put down today? We all carry something that no longer serves us. A regret, a grudge, a worry we can't fix. Let's do something powerful together. Let's set it down. Try this. Name one burden you've been carrying too long. Maybe it's a past mistake, a family issue, or simply the pressure to be everything for everyone. 2. Say these words. I've done my part. I am free. Speak it, write it down, whisper it to yourself before bed. 3. Replace that weight with something light. Play your favorite song, bake cookies just for you, dance a little, even if no one's watching. Lightness opens your heart. There is so much joy waiting for you, if only you make room for it. When you set down unnecessary burdens, you don't just free your hands, you free your heart. And in the next section, we'll talk about how to recognize the true wealth you already hold, not in your bank account, but in the life you've built. If this message spoke to you, leave a comment below. What's one burden you're ready to release? And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, because we're just getting started on this path to peace. Section 6. Treasure the wealth you already hold. There's a kind of wealth that can't be measured in bank accounts or possessions. It's not in stocks or savings. It's something deeper, richer, and far more lasting. It's in the love you've shared, the lessons you've learned, the memories you've made. Yet in a world that constantly tells us to chase more money, more status, more security, it's easy to overlook the true riches sitting right in front of us. But as the great Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. What if, instead of focusing on what we lack, we started truly appreciating what we already have? Redefining riches. Ray, 81, used to worry endlessly about money. His pension wasn't as big as he had hoped. His savings weren't what they used to be. He found himself counting every dollar, feeling like he never had enough. Then one day, something shifted. Ray sat on his front porch, sipping coffee, watching his grandson play in the yard. He looked over at his wife, his partner of 50 years, who was knitting beside him. And in that quiet moment, he realized something profound. He had everything he ever truly needed: a family who loved him, a home filled with warmth, stories worth telling, a life well lived. So he decided to do something different. Instead of worrying about money, he started investing in what really mattered. He hosted simple porch suppers, inviting neighbors and friends. He shared old stories, passed down his wisdom, and filled his days with connection instead of concern. And you know what? His street became the warmest, most welcoming place in town. Ray wasn't wealthy in the way the world defines it, but in all the ways that truly matter. He was the richest man alive. Counting your true treasures. What about you? Think about the wealth you already hold, not in your wallet, but in your life. Try this. List 3 treasures you already have. It could be a memory, a skill, a relationship, or simply the ability to appreciate the beauty around you. Do toast to them. Raise a cup of coffee, whisper a quiet thank you, or share a story with someone you love. 3. Pass one on. Teach a grandchild your favorite recipe. Write down a lesson you've learned. Share a laugh with an old friend. A. Life filled with riches. The wealth of a life well lived isn't in what we accumulate, it's in what we experience. You have built a life full of meaning, full of love, full of richness. And the best part? You still have more stories to write. In the next section, we'll talk about how to plant small seeds of joy today, knowing that they will bloom into something beautiful tomorrow. If this spoke to you, tell me, what's one treasure in your life that money could never buy? And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. We're walking this journey together. Section 7. Plant today, rest in tomorrow. Think of a garden. You don't plant a seed and expect it to bloom overnight. You water it, give it sunlight, and trust that in time it will grow. Life works the same way. The joys, the connections, the love we experience, they don't appear out of nowhere. They are the result of small, intentional moments, and yet so often we find ourselves rushing, worrying, trying to force things to happen on our timeline. But as Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, wisely said, effort and patience will achieve more than force and anxiety. Sometimes the best thing we can do is plant the seed and then trust that, in its own time, it will grow. Marge's story, the rose that taught her everything. Marge, 69, used to fret over everything. Her to-do list never seemed to end. There was always something that needed fixing, someone who needed help, some problem waiting to be solved. Then, one spring, she decided to plant a single rosebush in her yard. At first, she checked on it constantly. Was it growing? Was it getting enough sun? Would it ever bloom? But over time, something changed. Instead of hovering, she started simply enjoying the process, watering it, sitting beside it with a cup of tea, watching the way the sunlight danced on its leaves. And one morning, without her doing anything special, she stepped outside to find the most beautiful rose she had ever seen. It had bloomed right on time, and in that moment she understood something deeply. Life is meant to be lived the same way. We can do our part. We can plant the seeds, but we don't have to rush, worry, or control everything. Some things take time, and that's okay. Sowing seeds of joy. Right now, you have the power to plant small seeds of happiness. They don't have to be grand or complicated. The simplest actions can lead to the greatest joys. Try this today. Choose one small seed to plant. It could be a handwritten note to a loved one, a kind word to a friend, or a moment of quiet just for yourself. 2. Plant it with care. Don't expect an instant result, just do it with love. 3. Rest easy. Trust that what you give to the world, kindness, patience, love, will come back to you in its own time. Embracing the beauty of the present. So much of life's happiness isn't about chasing or forcing. It's about trusting. Trusting that you've done enough, that things will work out, that joy will find its way to you when the time is right. And in the meantime, enjoy the sun, enjoy the laughter, enjoy the simple, beautiful act of planting small joys, knowing they will bloom in ways you can't yet imagine. As we close this journey, let's bring everything together. How to live these Stoic lessons daily, with peace, purpose, and a heart full of gratitude. If this message resonated with you, tell me, what's one small joy you planted today? And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, because the best is still ahead. Conclusion: a life of silver years and golden peace. Take a deep breath. Look at how far you've come, not just in this journey through Stoic wisdom, but in life itself. You have loved, built, learned, endured. You have walked through storms and stood in the sunlight, and through it all you have become exactly who you were meant to be. And now, as you stand in this season of life, you have a choice. You can spend your days carrying old burdens, chasing things beyond your control, and wishing for a past that has already served its purpose. Or you can choose peace. You can choose to release what no longer serves you, to shape your days with gratitude, to trust the rhythm of life, and to find joy in the small, quiet moments that make a life truly rich. 7 Stoic steps to a fulfilling life. Let's take a moment to reflect. You have learned to let go of what you can't control, because freedom begins when you loosen your grip. You've discovered the power of your own thoughts, choosing to see life through a lens of gratitude instead of loss. You've embraced the timing of life, trusting that everything unfolds at the right pace. You found the quiet fire within you, knowing that purpose isn't about speed, but about presence. You've set down old burdens, freeing yourself to move forward with lightness. You've recognized your true wealth, not in money, but in love, connection, and memories. You've planted small seeds of joy, trusting that the happiness you give will return in its own time. And now, it's time to live this wisdom. A life well lived starts today. Happiness isn't something waiting for you in the future. It's here, in the warm cup of coffee you sip in the morning, in the smile of a grandchild, a friend, a stranger, in the quiet satisfaction of knowing you have done your part, and most of all, in the peace that comes from accepting that you have already lived a life of meaning, and there is still so much more to come. Your next step. I want to leave you with this. Try just one step this week. Maybe it's letting go of a worry. Maybe it's reframing a thought. Maybe it's planting a small joy. Whatever it is, start today. Because the silver years can be your golden years, if you choose to see them that way. If this journey resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me which step spoke to you the most. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. This is just the beginning of a life lived with peace, purpose, and quiet joy. Here's to silver years and golden peace.